265. Yes, Joel.
Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, my name is Joel Thomas, representing the good people of Delta South Natural District. The last paragraph and the last line, the good people of Delta South Natural District, the last paragraph, it should be 2 weeks. The last line, instead of TOW, should be TWO. Thank you, sir. TOW should be
That's correct. So, the clerk notes. Page 266. Okay. Distinguished Senator Joel, please go ahead and move as amended.
Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, my name is Joel Onuabo Thomas, representing the good people of Delta South Natural District. I move that the votes and the proceedings of Tuesday, 7 November 2023 be adopted as amended. I so move, Mr. President.
Any seconder? Yes, distinguished Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Nasiru Sani Zangwandora, Senator representing Katsina North. I rise to second that the votes of Tuesday, 7th November be adopted. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, the 7th day of November 2023 be approved. Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The announcement. The Christian Legislators Fellowship invites you to her 13th National Prayer Breakfast 2023, holding on Thursday, the 9th day of November 2023 at New Senate. Senator Alero. Yeah, Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate.
Senator Ifeanyi, please assume your seat. Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Mpigi Barinada on the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 87. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 87, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 87, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Karimi Sunday Steve on the Federal Highway Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 118. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Highways Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 118, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal Highways Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 118, first reading taken. The Senate Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Abdullahi Yahaya Abubakar on the Federal Inland Revenue Service Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 252. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Inland Revenue Service Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 252, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal Inland Revenue Service Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 252, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Onawo Mohammed Ogoshi on the Nigerian Marines Ranger Service Establishment Bill 2023, SB 253. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigerian Mines Ranger Service Establishment Bill 2023, SB 253, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Nigerian Mines Ranger Service Establishment Bill 2023, SB 253, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Saliu Mustafa on the cassava flour mandatory inclusion into flour production bill 2023, SB 254. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Cassava flour mandatory inclusion into flour production bill 2023, SB 254, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, cassava flour mandatory inclusion into flour production bill 2023, SB 254, first reading taken. The Senate Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that we step down the first order of the day to enable us proceed to take the second order of the day. I so move, Mr. President.
The Minority Leader.
Mr. President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we step down the first order and proceed to the second order on the other paper. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that the first order of the day be stepped down. Sine die. Those in support of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the second order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan on the demise of Ohinoi of Ebiraland, Dr. Abdulrahman Ado Ibrahim, who lived from 7th February 1929 to the 29th of October 2023. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Natasha Uduaghan.
Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan, representing the good people of Kogi Central. The Senate notes with shock the death of the Ohinoi of Iberaland, Dr. Abdulrahman Ado Ibrahim, on Sunday, the 29th day of October 2023, at an Abuja hospital at the age of 94. The Senate also notes that Ado Ibrahim was born on the 7th day of February 1929, and he attended both Western Nursery and Quranic schools. He went on to conclude his primary education in 1940 at the Native Authority Primary School in Okene in the then Kwara State. He began his secondary school education at Ondo Boys High School and later moved to Oduduwa College, where he graduated in 1949. In 1954, he obtained a bachelor's degree in economics from the prestigious London School of Economics, a bachelor degree in mining engineering from the University of Jos, and a master's degree from Harvard Business School in the year 1959. The Senate also further notes that following the death of the Ohinoi Sani Omolori in 1997, the Lagos-based entrepreneur and son of the first paramount ruler of Iberaland, Abdulrahman Ado Ibrahim, ascended the Ibira throne as the third Ohinoi of Iberaland on June 2nd, 1997. The Senate is also aware that his enthronement as Ohinoi of Iberaland was a grand occasion, attended by thousands of Ibiras and international diplomats, and was broadcast on major Nigerian television stations for days. He ruled Iberaland from his magnificent pavilion, Azad Palace, named after his son. The palace is rated as one of the most beautiful palaces in Africa. The Senate recalls that since he ascended the throne on 2nd June 1997 as Ohinoyi of Iberia-land, His Majesty proved to be a veritable bridge builder, a peacemaker, and a social scientist who was more at home with analysis and actions. In several private conversations with illustrious sons of Iberia-land, he always dismissed the acrimonious exchanges between contended parties in the overall political contestation of Iberia-land. Even when the Supreme Court in August 2015 affirmed his appointment as the paramount traditional ruler of Iberia people, he chose to remain magnanimous in victory. The Senate is also aware that before ascending the throne, Ado Ibrahim was a very successful businessman. He established Nestle Nigeria Limited and became the founding chairman. As a pioneer mining engineer, he invested into the mining prospecting businesses. He held several positions in USC, Kingway Stores, and Amalgamated Tin Mines of Nigeria Limited. The Senate is also informed that Dr. Ado Ibrahim competently provided leadership to the people, and his illustrious life indeed was very eventful. It can be remembered with vivid recollection his vast business empire, which provided employment and opportunities to several thousands of Nigerians, and he served in the following capacities. He was the coordinator, North Central Traditional Rulers Council. He was the Vice President, Jamaat Nasrul Islam in Nigeria, Vice President, Kogi State Council of Chiefs, Vice President, Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, and a patron, Miners Association of Nigeria. The Senate is convinced that he was an eminent and committed leader, an incisive thinker, and a philanthropist whose interest is to serve both people and humanity. And the Senate regrets that his demise is a great loss to his family, the Iberia clan, Kogi State in particular, and Nigeria in general. The Senate accordingly resolves to observe a minute silence in his honor, send a condolence letter to commiserate with the family, the good people of Iberia-land, and urge the federal government to immortalize him by naming the Federal College of Education after him. The Senate President, if it so wishes you and distinguished colleagues, that you please, in your wisdom, grant these prayers. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Karimi.
Thank you, Mr. President, my colleagues. My name is Karimi Sunday. I represent the people of Kogi West. In standing to second this motion, I also want to say that late Ado Ibrahim was a detribalized leader who was there not only for the people of Kogi Central, but not only for the entire Kogi State, but for Nigerians as a whole. And Nigerians will miss him a lot. So I stand to second the motion as moved by my colleague.
Distinguished Senator Alero.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, Mr. President, I rise to lend my support to this very important motion ably moved by my colleague, Senator Natasha. I have known the Ohinoyi of Iberia-land, Dr. Abdurrahman. He was a foremost traditional ruler, not only in the northern part of the country, but Nigeria as a whole. He is a bridge builder. You see him in the palaces of obas, emirs, chiefs, and obis all over the country. They visit, they invite him for one ceremony or the other. And he is known to be a peacemaker, particularly in northern part of Nigeria. So his demise is a great loss to the people of Kogi State, to northern part of Nigeria, and Nigeria as a whole. He is one of the leading lights when it comes to national integration in this country. He was not only a community leader, he was also a religious leader. He built so many mosques, he built Islamic schools, he took care of the orphans. In fact, he is a practicing Muslim. And for this reason, I pray that God Almighty will grant him eternal rest. And we say that may Allah give him Jannatul Firdaus. My condolence to the family and to also the government and people of Kogi State. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Thank you.
Dismissed Senator Issa Jibrin.
Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, my very distinguished colleagues, I am Issa Jibrin, representing the very good people of Kogi East. Your Excellency, I want to lend my voice to this motion. The Ohinohi of Ibira land, Alhaji Ado Ibrahim, was a great unifier. He was a father to all, no discrimination. In fact, I remember my encounter with him in 2011 when I was the gubernatorial candidate of PDP. And the ticket was taken from me under circumstances that up to this very moment I cannot explain. He stood by me. He called my supposed predecessor then.
What party are you talking about? They did that to you?
Your Excellency, sir. Your Excellency, no, don't put, Your Excellency, Alhaji Ado Ibrahim stood by me, an Igala man. He is, of course, an Igala man, he stood by me. He called the then governor, he called the president of the country, then President Jonathan, appealed to them, but of course, all went to deaf ears. I remember him, I forever remember him. I was close to one of the children whom I also sponsored to India for treatment. A lady, one of his children was seriously sick. A lady, I sponsored the lady to India for treatment, although she lost his life. That is to tell you the extent to which I related with him. This man stood for everybody, okay? And I want to believe that by the grace of God Almighty, with all the good things that he has done, that he did in this world, Almighty Allah will grant him Al-Jannah to Firdaus. It's a great vacuum, a vacuum that may not be filled in the nearest future. I pray that God, the family, I pray that God will console the family, the immediate family, and console all of us who were close to him when he was alive. May Almighty Allah grant him Al-Jannah to Firdaus. Thank you very much.
Thank you, distinguished Senator Issa Jibrin. You are sorry for your loss to the then PDP. Thank God you are now in APC. And we sympathize with you, but so we go to the prayers. Observe a minute silence in his honor. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, send a condolence letter to commiserate with the family, the good people of Ibiraran, and of course Nigerians. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Urge the federal government to immortalize him by naming a high institution after him. Specifically, Federal College of Education, Okene. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me first thank distinguished Senator Natasha Odragan, one of the newest senators in the Senate for this thoughtful motion. I didn't know him in person, but his name reverberated across the country as a great philanthropist and one of the most illustrious sons that Nigeria produced. I thank God he lived a fulfilled life, and it has pleased God to invite him to paradise. So I join you and all Kokais and all Nigerians and those who related with him closely to wish that God accepts his soul and his soul will rest in peace. Can we rise for a minute silence? May the soul of the late Ohinoyi of Ibiraland, Alhaji Ado Ibrahim, rest in perfect peace. Amen. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Nwemboyi Onyeka Peter on the urgent need to curtail the practice of undisclosed admissions and other unwholesome practices by JAMB and universities, particularly the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Nwemboyi Onyeka Peter to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Peter Nwemboyi.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity to present this motion. I am Senator Peter Onyekachi Nwemboyi. I represent the good people of Ebonyi North Senatorial District of Ebonyi State. Your Excellency, this is a motion bordering on the urgent need to curtail the practices of undisclosed admission and other unwholesome practices by JAMB and some universities in Nigeria, particularly the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. The Senate knows that the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB, was established in 1978, originally with the mandate to regulate admissions into Nigerian universities through the University Matriculation Examination, UME. The Senate also notes that the duties of JAMB were later expanded to include regulating admissions into other higher or tertiary educational institutions in Nigeria, prompting the change of the nomenclature of the entrance examination from UME to UTME to include examination into entrance into Nigerian universities, polytechnics, monotechnics, and colleges of education. Senate further notes that Senate informed that the authorities of tertiary institutions in cohorts with some JAMB officials reverted to the practice of provisional admissions into prized professional courses like medicine and surgery, pharmacy, law, engineering, nursing sciences, etc., with a view to shortchanging some students already offered admission in exchange for gratification. Senate also informed of the travel of one Mr. Chinyere Ekwe and other 290 other students who were admitted to study medicine and surgery at the University of Nigeria and Nsukka, but had their admission truncated on the order of JAMB for non-plausible reasons after they had completed admission processes and resume lectures and also pay their school fees. Mrs. Sekwe, in particular, scored 291 in the 2009 UTME exams and 300 in the university post-UTME, which qualified her for the course and was subsequently admitted by the university, and she paid all necessary fees. Further informed that the state Chinyere Ekwe was transferred to the Department of Medical Laboratory Sciences on the ground that if her cumulative grade point is up to 4.5 points after the first year, which would have been transferred back to the medicine and surgery. However, despite the fact that she surpassed the 4.5 threshold, her admission status is still not yet certain as to whether she is duly admitted into a Department of Medicine and Surgery or Medical Laboratory Sciences at present. Worried that the provisional admission practice is being used as a malicious tool to exploit and frustrate intelligent young Nigerians who are children and wards of ordinary Nigerians. Also worried by the fact that these children who make good grades in the UTME and been made to pay the necessary fees undergo rigorous processes of registration, matriculation, resume lectures, and sometimes even semester exams, only to be transferred to other less competitive courses by the university, conniving with JAMB officials without plausible reasons, thereby destroying their career. Concerned that the emotional trauma this unexplained cost swamp bears on the victim is so devastating that is capable of leading to individual living into endless depression, loss of enthusiasm, and worse even, leading to some of the victims going into crimes. And also that uncertainty and unfair treatment as meted out by Mr. Chinyerekwe could cause the young girl to psychological trauma. Further concerned that such unwholesome practices put our educational system in jeopardy, and Senate is hereby prayed to resolve as follows: to mandate JAMB to appear before the relevant committee, being Committee on Tertiary Institution, to resolve this lingering issue of cost swamp. Mr. President, I want to combine prayer 2 and prayer 3, which is also to summon JAMB and University of Nigeria and Nsukka to explain the circumstances surrounding the undisclosed admission phenomenon and the career-killing saga that is affecting over 291 students in the University of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, Mr. President, I beg of you to support this all-important motion because this has to do with the future of our children, especially the children of the poor who has nobody to speak for them. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Monday Ogbebolo.
Mr. President, my name is Monday Ogbebolo from representing the good people of Edo Central. I hereby support the motion ably moved by Peter Onyokachi. I stand also to lend my voice to what is happening in the tertiary institutions. Mr. President, it is sad that corruption is everywhere. Even schools where children go to learn, and that is where we grow our leaders for tomorrow. If this is happening in secondary schools, in universities, what are we saying? It's a big problem that teachers, lecturers that are supposed to lecture children with moral upbringing, good moral upbringing, are now taking monies from them so that they can award them good grades. I support this motion that these institutions, the JAMB and the university's authorities should come to the Senate to explain why they should be happening and put a full stop to it. I submit, Mr. President. I will thank you because you are not listening.
Yeah. Distinguished Senator Abaribe.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Eyinaya Abaribe, and I represent Abia South. Mr. President, this is a very unprecedented motion, and a motion that weighty allegations have been made. And I do not think, Mr. President, that this is the best way for us to review and look at this motion. So I would rather suggest that because we know JAM, we know the universities, that the best thing would have been that this motion will be sent to either the Committee on Higher Education or the Committee on Public Petitions, so that all the different institutions mentioned in this motion will be invited, because fair hearing means that all sides must be heard before we go to into the prayers of compelling people to do A or B or C. The reason why I'm saying this is that we know the JAM registrar, and I really am surprised that such a weighty allegation can be made against JAM. I also know the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and these are men that I have a lot of respect, and I can vouch for their integrity. So I think, sir, that in conclusion of my remarks, that we may rather follow the path of making sure that everybody is heard through the Committee on Public Petitions. I saw.
Yes, there are distinguished Abbas.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, my name is Aminu Abbas, President Adamawa Central. I want to differ with my elder brother, distinguished Senator Abaribe, in this issue. Mr. President, this one is pointing, it's just the beginning of the whole issue. And let me state something. Before now, JAM only conduct exams for universities, as stated in the motion. Now it is combined exam for all the universities. And no child will apply for college of education or polytechnic when it comes to exams. Everybody applies to university. And at the end, when they didn't get, they will go and make a transfer. And that's why there's pressure that people that even are qualified for admission into medicine and other courses that are very important in this country are not getting the admission. I think we need to look at this holistically. It's not only one institution, but the entire institution and the JAM itself and the way they conduct their exams need to be looked into, Mr. President. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Ome.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Victor Ume. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise because this motion focused mainly on the University of Nigeria and Nsukka. And that university is my alma mater. That's the university I graduated from in 1984. From the revelations made on this motion paper, very grave allegations were made, just like Senator Bariwell said. This university is reputed for being a very great citadel of learning in Nigeria. And the admission policy in this university has been one of the most revered in this country. Yes, when JAMB started, JAMB was giving provisional admissions in all the universities. During our own time, immediately after WAEC releases its final results for the year, all provisional admissions will lapse within 2 weeks. Anybody who was on provisional admission but failed to get credit in the important courses that will sustain the admission will be sent out of the university. It's not the practice of this university to retain people on provisional admission into first semester, second semester, even first year, second year, third year. So this revelation here is mind-boggling, that about 290 students were offered admission to study medicine and surgery. And along the line, they started swapping courses. Please, this is not the University of Nigeria and Nsukka that I know. And at least 4 of the past vice chancellors of this university are my very good friends. So I want this motion not to be maybe downplayed. We'll need to investigate this allegation. Let's take the motion and the prayers, and then, like the mover of the motion requested, let us invite officials of this university. This thing may be happening in other universities, but this complaint has not come from the other universities the way it has formally come here in this motion. Let us invite officials of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and JAMB to look at the veracity of this claim that 290 students were left wandering about in the university campus after staying for maybe 1 year or 2 years. I have heard stories of people staying in the university for 4 years without even graduating with a degree based on discrepancies in the admission policy. Some will come in to read law, finish their program. They will now say that they didn't meet the requirements for admission, and they will be axed out of the university. This thing should not be part of our educational system. So I think to restore the dignity of the University of Nigeria, so that nobody will have the impression that the university has an admission policy that is inhuman, let us get to the root of it quickly and resolve it. This is my submission, Mr. President, and I think it is very important that this is done. If other universities have similar cases, people can bring petition to the Senate, which you can now refer to the Senate Committee on Public Petitions. This one is a special one. 290 students cannot be wandering in a university for about 3-4 years. You start tossing them around. From medicine, you say go to medical rehabilitation or medical laboratory or pharmacology or physiology. Admission is a certain thing. When you are entering a university, you are coming in to study a course with a given time frame. After that, you graduate and move on. This floating admission should be banned. And if this investigation is done thoroughly, we'll be able to get to the root of this matter. Thank you, Mr. President. So I support this motion that investigation needs to be conducted. There's no point playing it around and talking about other universities. When we have similar cases, we can treat them as the petitions come to the Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, distinguished colleagues, I have one problem with this motion. The problem I have is that it's slightly personalized. Slightly. For instance, Prayer 1 says, compel JAM to give admission letter to one Ms. Chinyere Ekwe. The Senate is not that Senate. We are for all Nigerians, both in Nigeria and in the diaspora. So, and meanwhile, the names of the other 290 were not listed. So my personal opinion is that even Ms. Chinyenekwe could have could write to the Senate, and then we refer it to our Committee on Public Petitions, and to look, she has the right to do so. Then secondly, we are shaving the head of a man behind his back. The University of Nigeria has a reputation that spans decades and respected internationally. So take and they have JAM has its own reputation. So the discussing and particularizing it could tend to give the international community that something is questionable about the certificates from University of Nigeria, which we all respect. It has given birth to so many universities, including the one I went to, which was the University of Calabar. So I think the Latin phraseology applies here, which is odi autem patem. Let the other side be heard. If it is the view of the Senate that we refer the entirety of this petition or this motion, particularly the contents of the prayers, to two committees. One committee on tertiary education, and the second one, committee on public petition, jointly to do a thorough investigation, revert to this Senate in 2 weeks, so that we can do a holistic job, and even invite the Minister of Education to attend, to find out whether this kind of practice, if it is occurring, is also occurring in other tertiary institutions. So let us do a holistic job. If it is the view of the Senate that we refer this entirety to the Committee on Tertiary Education and Public Petitions, can we say aye? Aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. So thank you, distinguished Senator Nweboyin, for bringing this to the fore. I think it's important that that we correct any wrong that we see. It's also correct that the applicable maxim in law is ibi jus, ibi remedium, which means where there is a wrong, there must be a remedy. So thank you for bringing this to the fore. Senate Leader.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, I stand to move that the Senate goes into a closed session to enable us discuss some urgent matters having to do with the administration of the Senate. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
The President of the Senate, very distinguished colleagues, I write to second the motion moved by the Senate Leader that will house itself to Committee of the Whole. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, a motion has been moved and seconded that this House do resolve into a Committee of the Whole, into a closed session to discuss pertinent national issues. Those in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The chambers will now go into closed session to discuss pertinent national issues.